You ready to swing, Spider-Cat?
You two look great. Get out there and stop some crimes, you two.
Time to go stop crime, Spider-Man. One hairball at a time. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very exciting Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales related video. And today's video is pretty self-explanatory because we are going to go over my personal top 5 picks of the best suits that you can unlock within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, what's fun about this is that I did discuss the same exact topic for Insomniac's previous installment of Spider-Man PS4, where instead of ranking the multitude of outfits that you can acquire within that game from worst to best, I simply provided my personal picks for said suits within a top 5 best and top 5 worst list for Marvel's Spider-Man. And to completely bring it back full circle, I will be doing the exact same thing for Miles Morales, starting off with this video of course relating to the top 5 best suits, and then moving on to the top 5 worst suits in another video. And definitely make sure to stay tuned for that video because I can 110% guarantee you that it will absolutely be filled with super spicy hot takes. And just to clarify in advance, neither of these lists are going to feature the now iconic classic suit that we do obtain within the game's main story, primarily considering the fact that is simply the base default attire that is known for Miles Morales' character. Plus, it would be a little unfair for this list in particular, considering the fact that if I actually were to include it, it would probably go to my number 1 spot. And alongside of that, this list is purely based off the visual aesthetic that each costume entails, and not the suit mods that come along with them, because those will be saved for a different video. But of course, to reiterate one more time, this list is purely based off of my own personal opinion. So if there is a costume that you do thoroughly enjoy that doesn't appear on this list, just know that I might actually really like it myself, but it just didn't land on my personal top 5 best list. Although, if there is a suit that you are heavily attached to that just ends up being on my top 5 worst list, then I would personally start to see your frustration. But still, just know that that's how I personally feel about that particular attire. However, I do think it's safe to say that the majority of you will be relatively pleased with the top 5 picks that I have chosen here for what I believe to be the best suits within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Starting off with number 5 on the list actually is relating to a suit that comes off as a bit more dark and gritty, which is primarily thanks to the main comic book that it is based off of, none other than that of the End suit. In an alternate Earth within the Marvel Comics universe, humanity makes its last stand in the only place strong enough to survive, none other than the heart of Brooklyn. Former Spider-Man Miles Morales, who is portrayed as an old man at the end of his career within this story, leads the last resistance of civilization into the future. Ripped straight from the visual aesthetic of the End comic book series, this is in fact the final mission of Miles Morales, and showcases him in a setting right before he dies. And if we were to actually take the End comic series as straight Marvel canon, that would mean that this is the last suit that we see Miles in during his final outing as Spider-Man. And based on how Insomniac completely brought this suit to life within the game, just looks astounding. Not only am I a major fan of hooded Spidey suits, which will most definitely showcase that even further given my next pick on the list, but I'm also completely head over heels when a more stylized design does take a more modernized approach. Given the story that it's based off of, the End suit does incorporate a much more tactical and almost militaristic aesthetic. This is fully accompanied by the pixelated camo pants and more rough and tough boots that Miles is wearing. And while the addition of the hoodie does provide a much more stealth-like approach, this suit as a whole still showcases directly exactly what makes Miles Morales his own Spider-Man. Add the sharper and slightly aggressive lenses as well as the detailed web patterning on top of that, and you got yourself a go-to Spidey costume. And even though this footage does showcase the suit during the late afternoon time of day, I specifically love wearing the End suit during the snowstorms throughout New York, because not only does this costume completely fit that more ominous vibe, but it also works really well when Miles is swinging during the snow. And in my personal opinion, that looks like one extremely comfy jacket which will surely keep you nice and toasty during those cold winter days. Now, as I mentioned previously, I am a massive fan when it does come to hooded Spider-Man suits, and number 4 on my top 5 best list is no exception. version. And in this case, I am talking about the 2099 suit, where instead of it being a completely different representation of the Spider-Man character as a whole, with that version being none other than Miguel O'Hara, this suit was originally showcased as a variant cover for Miles' comic run. So while this outfit still has Miles under the mask itself, it gives off a totally different vibe as to what the standard 2099 suit originally showcases. But in a similar fashion to the end suit, this costume still stays true to the core visual traits that people associate with Spider-Man's character. Now, unlike the standard 2099 suit that we did see from Spider-Man PS4, Miles' overall layers of color and detailing on this costume provides a lot more complexity that wasn't seen in Miguel's design. While this futuristic design does stay true to what makes this a 2099 suit, primarily with that of the skull-shaped spider symbol both on the front and back of the costume, as well as the smaller arm blades providing a bit more ferocity during combat, Miles truly provides this suit with a bit more flair. Given the implementation of the much more apparent exterior web shooters, as well as the extremely expressive glowing eyes, alongside of the more streamlined color design which is running throughout the entirety of the suit from top to bottom, it just looks flat out awesome. Out of all the other suits that are included within this game, I heavily prefer the ones that do showcase extremely expressive eye lenses. And as I just stated, Miles' 2099 suit is no exception, with the massive glowing fog emitting from the eyes 24/7. The original 2099 suit, first worn by Miguel O'Hara, is already a fantastic way to showcase exactly how the classic Spider-Man design can be reinvented for a futuristic era. But based off what Insomniac have managed to do with Miles' own 2099 suit, I genuinely believe that they may have taken it up a notch. Because even though this is my number 4 pick on the list, this is still one of my instant go-to costumes when I'm simply free roaming around New York City, especially during the nighttime. If this costume wasn't intimidating and or stylish enough for you already, then I certainly wouldn't want to meet this Spider-Man in a dark alley. Although, given my number 3 pick on the list, this suit would certainly encourage me to go clubbing rather than anything else. And based on the musical beats that Miles mixes on his own free time within this game's universe, I think it's safe to say that it would surely be a damn good time. But in case you haven't figured it out by now, I'm particularly referring to the Daft Punk suit, also known as Miles Morales 2020. Much like the 2099 suit, the 2020 costume was also initially designed as a variant cover for one of Miles Morales' comics, which was created by the artist known as Raza. Completely interlaced with LED lights and sporting headphones, this new hero defends the city to the sound of his own curated beats. Not to mention that Miles himself is fully laced up with his own custom crime fighting and super sci-fi looking kicks. And with the final touch of that super suave bomber jacket absolutely enveloping the complete upper torso of this Spidey suit, this is certainly a Spider-Man who is fit for the modern times. I also love how this total disco ball of a helmet does glitch out from time to time when you are free roaming to just show how expressive the mask can be on this particular outfit. And even though 2020 has been a pretty massive bummer of a year all around, at least this one suit does give us a shining light at the end of a very dark tunnel. Now, as we draw closer to the end of this list, everyone, we're now moving on to a costume which actually features 2 Spider-Men for the price of 1. And knowing that you fully unlock this suit once you do complete the game's main campaign, it just makes it all the more impactful. Not to mention that seeing Miles have his very own sidekick puts an extremely huge smile on my face. And of course, I am in fact talking about the Bodega Cat suit. Having Spider-Man and Spider-Man tag team on enemies while you are executing finishers within the game's combo system is just a massive treat to witness unfold. It still is insanely wonderful to have this feline friend of yours accompany you throughout all of Miles' journey, especially if you decide to replay the game and all of its emotional moments on New Game Plus while having this suit equipped. But as for the design of the suit itself, this might be one of, if not my most favorite masks to ever be incorporated within a Spider-Man costume, Miles, Peter, or otherwise. Not only does this hoodie with the massive black spider emblem on the front totally scream Scarlet Spider to me, but I flat out love how insanely massive and expressive the lenses are on this mask. While this costume may seem to be a standard variant of the classic suit with the gray and red color palette, the added amount of texture on the mask and the legs do give it a lot more depth that wasn't originally showcased in the basic design. And even though this final point might be a bit on the nose, I just love how this suit absolutely embraces the fact that anyone can wear the mask, whether that be Peter, Miles, or even a cat trying to be Spider-Man. Either way, anyone can be a hero, and this suit showcases that in spades. And last but not least, true believers, the moment you've all been waiting for with a suit which probably no one expected in the slightest, the one, the only, the number one pick for my top 5 best suit list within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Give it up for the sensational Spider-Man undies suit. Let's go! I'm just kidding, it's obviously the Into the Spider-Verse suit. This is a pretty self-explanatory pick, and based on all the time and effort that Insomniac spent within this suit to try and match the design of the film itself, is what I personally believe to be a true testament to the passion that Insomniac have for this character, and a triumph within game development as a whole. Not only does this costume look one-to-one accurate as to how it appeared within the movie, but it also takes things a step further compared to the other Into the Spider-Verse suit that we first saw within Spider-Man PS4 for that version of Peter Parker. This time around, Insomniac have included mods that can be applied to other suits within the game that do mimic the visual aesthetic that was featured in Into the Spider-Verse, primarily applied to the more choppy frame rate of movement that we saw Miles swing in during the beginning of that film, as well as the onomatopoeia comic word burst cards that do apply during combat sequences. If there was a point that any of you wanted a remaster of the original Ultimate Spider-Man game that did release in 2005, then I do think this is as close as you're going to get. And just knowing that we now have the majority of Spider-Man's movie costumes inputted within both Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales is just a huge achievement all around. Playing the game while wearing this suit sincerely makes me feel like I'm playing an Into the Spider-Verse video game. And thanks to the insane amount of detail and passion that Insomniac inputted within this costume, it easily makes the Into the Spider-Verse suit the best suit within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. But with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What did you think of my top 5 best suit list for Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and is your personal picks for the top 5 suits the same or slightly different? And again, I will be doing the same exact video relatively soon, going over the top 5 worst suits within Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, as well as analyzing further the top 5 best suit and visor mods within the game. But until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Miles Morales content down the line. And without further ado, peace out.
Man, I still can't get over that suit. So cool.
Gotta be me.
Yeah, you do.